Greetings, groovy people. I'm the self-proclaimed Blue Dragon, and I welcome you to my channel, provided you're an adult. Seeing as in the background, I'm doing the sketch, ink, and color of the Act 4 revamp cover for Dark Horse, and you'll notice she's got her boobies out. There's no nips, but this comic is not for children. Yeah, so how was everyone's new year? How's it going? Did you have a fun and safe close to the year? Do you have any plans or goals for 2020? I have quite a few plans, and I'd love to share them with you in the very first and second video of the new year. You gotta have a plan, part 1. This week's video, I'm going to be having a retrospective of my goals from 2019, and then next week I'm going to be talking about goals for this year, for 2020. But before we dig into this, first off, I want to thank my patrons. You guys supported me all throughout 2019, and honest to God, without your help, I wouldn't have the motivation for this, and also you've helped me get like a new drawing desk and some other things that I need for my art, so thank you so much. If you'd like to join their ranks, there's a link in the description. Hooray for starting the new year off begging for money. Look, I have no shame at all, and I'm better for it. Also, the links for Dark Horse and all that's down in the description too. I think I forgot to say that. And the second thing, thank you so much to my new subscribers. Holy crap, I think I picked up like 3 new subs, so thank you. And lastly, before we get started, I want to thank any and everyone who stopped by the Blue Dragon art booth at December's Con Alt Delete, which was up in Rosemont. It was lovely meeting so many fellow anime enthusiasts and manga enthusiasts. Yeah, so a friend of mine and I are working on a video regarding the convention. It's going to be a Friday night video, which I'll be talking about later. So this is the new year. It's interesting how every year so many people make plans and set goals for themselves for the year to come. It's kind of a Word of Wednesday, a quintessential part of many people's annual ritual. And speaking from experience, I oftentimes would set different goals, and I very rarely would even bother trying to achieve them. So last year, I was very adamant about actually achieving some of the goals that I set for myself, holding myself accountable, and I actually kept a list in front of me on the wall so that I knew that there are certain things that I need to accomplish. So, I realize most of you probably don't care about my personal art goals or, anything like that. However, I'm going to share some of these with you in hopes of inspiring you. If I have any fellow artists out there, or, whatever your hobby is or whatever you enjoy doing, hopefully this will inspire you to set some of those goals and achieve them. And I'm going to give a couple tips about how I personally worked on these goals, what helped me out. I'm going to give you some tips that just about anyone could maybe do. So if you're here because of Dark Horse, let me first and foremost thank you for sticking with me and helping me attain some of those goals, and also inspiring me to create some new goals for 2020. Thank you. You guys have been with me for years, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I like to overextend myself with the caveat of knowing that there are some goals that I'm not going to complete. I like to give myself something to aspire to for the following year, but also enough things that I'm not going to run out of goals early on. So I don't like give myself just 2 things to do. I kind of like to stack the cards high so that I will have things left over for the following year. So I know when I set out my list that I'm not going to get everything done. For an example, I'm going to read you what I did do for 2019 when I wrote down. First off was finishing scripting out the end of Dark Horse. I did not complete that goal, but I did do a little bit of scripting, so that got me, got the creative juices going. I wanted to finish Act 2 and 3 and 4 of the revamps. Of those goals, I got Act 2 and 3 completed before the end of the year, so that's not too bad. I also wanted to complete PDFs and print versions of Act 1, 2, and 3 of the revamp with special little incentive art. And I got, Act 1 and 2 done and printed, so that's not bad. Act 3 is done, but I didn't get it in a PDF form or anything. I gotta do some edits. I wanted to complete Acts 5 and 6 of Dark Horse for my Comic Fury readers. Thank you guys out there. I achieved getting Act 5 done, and I started into Act 6. I haven't finished it yet, but at least I started it. I had a goal of doing the Valentine's, Halloween, and Christmas collabs on Comic Fury, and then I ended up doing every single collaboration or crossover that was actually posted. So I overachieved there, so that kind of makes up for some of it. And then I had the goals of getting 40 subscribers on on Comic Fury, which I achieved. I'm on 46. I wanted 25 Tapas subs. I got those. I think I'm on 40. Holy crap, I got 40 subs there, you guys. Thank you all. But I also wanted to make a gallery, an art trade page on my Comic Fury website, which I achieved. It needs to be updated, but it's there. And then I wanted to create my own domain for my webcomic. That I achieved. And finally, for a Comic Fury thread, I had written down some of my art improvement goals, like doing better on action and backgrounds, being more concise with the text, moving the story forward quicker, and being more dynamic with the panels, portions with characters, making sure they don't look ridiculous. And I wanted to rebuild my buffer. I've not rebuilt the buffer. I have made some improvements in my art, but that's an ongoing goal. It's not just for 2019, it's not just for 2020, it's a lifelong goal. So I think I did pretty well. So I said I was going to share how I achieved some of these goals. I'm not going to lie, it wasn't easy, first off, because it took a lot of discipline, which I'm not always very good with discipline, but you know, I was able to kind of get my shit together last year. And I also wouldn't have been able to do it, of course, without my patrons and readers and, you know, the people supporting me there. But number one support was my dude friend. He's really been the driving force behind me being able to accomplish any of these goals. So thank you to him. Some of these things, people are probably not going to be as fortunate or even privileged as I am. But, you know, his support allowed me to leave my full-time employment so that I could focus on art full-time. However, leaving the job has made it so that I had to actually get organized, which is something that anybody can do. Of course, being frugal, you know, as well as being organized. But regarding the art, one thing that we realized about halfway through the year that I couldn't see, but, you know, he could, was that my organization was absolutely terrible. With all my jobs, I'd always been very organized, but when I was at home, I was very scattered and very messy, and my partner was seeing how messy I was and was like, you know, maybe you'd be a little less anxious if you were a little more organized. So he helped me realize that that was probably one of the most important things to helping me actually figure out what I need to do on a daily basis, was to get organized so that I could find my tools and not be digging through piles of stuff. I mean, I still have piles, but I have trays and stuff, so now my piles are smaller and easier to look through and a little more organized. So being organized was number one. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. It mostly just takes time. So that's my first key to achieving goals. The second is keeping a schedule, a loose schedule, because I'm not very good. Like, I tried writing down what I was going to do each day. I wanted to be on forums for so much time on this day, and I wanted to be doing sketching on this day, and I'm really not good at following a schedule quite that well, but I set hard deadlines for myself on my calendars so that I know in my head when I have to have things done by, and so I can kind of putter around and work on this and then work on that if the deadline's coming up for other things. Keep those goals where you can see them. Don't just make a list and hide it away, or like I had added, like I mentioned, I had some things on a Comic Fury thread. I printed that piece of paper off so that it wouldn't get buried in all the conversations that happened later. I printed that off and kept it where I could see it so that I had a constant reminder, hey, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to get done, and don't forget about this, don't forget about that. So having it where you can see it instead of squirreling it away where it can be forgotten was very important. Another thing I did was break down my larger goals into smaller steps so that I could make them more manageable. So for example, I needed to flip Act 1 and Act 2. So what I did was I set weekly goals of doing maybe 2 to 3 to 5 pages a week, depending on how busy I was or how stressed I was. And then if I had time, I would do a couple extra pages until I finally got that goal done. So instead of like just having, do all 25 pages and get it done, I kind of broke it down on a weekly basis, having smaller goals throughout the week. Another thing that I realized I needed to do, take care of yourself, make sure you're getting enough sleep, take breaks, take time for yourself, don't skip meals. I'm not always very good at that, but I feel like I've been a little bit better, especially with the sleep thing. I was like staying up till 7 a.m. in the morning, and towards the end of the year, my partner and I finally figured out maybe we should just be going to sleep at the same time so that we're both kind of on the same schedule and we're kind of getting up at the same time and having like a regular work day. So that's something that's important that kind of goes to the wayside with me, but I do try to keep it in mind to take care of myself so that I can keep working instead of, being sick or anything. So another thing is to hold yourself accountable, but don't beat yourself up if you don't achieve something or if you don't do something in a certain timeline. Derive joy from the small victories as well as the large achievements. And then my final little piece of advice, number 7, keep the big picture in mind. It's easy to obsess over small mistakes or missteps, but in the larger scheme of things, it's just a small bump and it's not going to derail all the progress that you've made as a whole. Acknowledge your failure, but don't let it rule you. So yeah, that's all for this week. I hope that advice is helpful. I'm going to share my goals for 2020 with you guys next week. So there's a lot in store for Dark Horse as well as my other art projects. So please make sure to like, subscribe, and do the bell thing so you don't miss out on any of those videos. Question of the week. Did you set any goals last year? And if so, how many did you achieve? Please share your thoughts and your achievements down below. And I'm wishing you all a happy new year, peace and love, fare you well, and keep on trucking.